if the thief come in, he bound the strong man, which is the head of the house. And so a lot of men don't want to pray. A lot of men don't want to get in church, because they feel like, it makes me feel like I'm less of a man, or they don't have understanding of the gospel. It's because we have made the gospel be about us instead of about the people.
Real life.
If it ain't real life, just say real life street stars. You know what time it is.
Real Life Street Stars, we back again. We got him back in the building, man. The one and only Bishop Eli, Pastor Eli. If y'all know him, y'all know him. You know what I'm saying? But I always like to have the guests. Yeah, right. Go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Bishop
please.
Eli Jacob from South Dallas Church Resurrection Body of Christ, right there in Duncanville, 200 East Car Lane, right there in Duncanville, Texas. And I am the bishop that keeps it real.
Let's go, man. We got to keep it real right now. Let's just get right into it, man. I got to touch on something that's been going viral, man. Preacher, the pastor, Bishop Jamal Bryant, he has spoke on as far as attendance in church. And again, he's looking from his congregation. He sees that 80% of men do not go to church. And when he looks into his congregation, he sees mostly and mainly women who step up, come in, and come show out for God when it comes to going to church. First and foremost, I want to get your take on that statement that 80% of men, and let's just keep it within the Black community. We don't got to go all over. Let's just keep it within our community. 80% of men do not go to church. What is your take on that?
First of all, I'm always like to go into the Bible. The Bible says it's going to be 7 women to 1 man. Then you got to look at, it's a true statement, but the reason behind it, not the simple fact that men don't want to go to church, especially in the Black community. But one of the things that I realized is that we got to look at the root of a problem. Most men these days, if you look at them, a lot of them turn to Israelite faith. There's a new movement called the Hebrew Israelite. A lot of them turn into Muslims. A lot of brothers, especially Black brothers, turn into Islam. And so Nation Islam. And so we can go a little deeper. A lot of males, Black males, getting killed or even locked up. And so it appeared to be true when you look in your congregation, you see majority of women. In my church, it's the same way. In majority of all church now, in Gino Jennings church, he got a lot of men, and so, but it doesn't change the fact that in majority churches, there's more female. And I believe that the lack of that is because man don't follow man unless he sees something in a man that he feel that can benefit him or something that he can learn from or grow from. I'm from the streets, so it'll be hard for me to just follow anybody. It got to be something that's on your life that can affect my life. Now, some pastors, for many years, even Jamal Bryant, he was single before he got married. It would be hard for me and my family, if I wasn't a pastor, to follow a pastor that doesn't have a wife or have a family example. It'll be hard. Even though he can educate me, he can, teach me some things. But most men, it's got to be something in your life that cause him to want to say, hey, I want to be a part of that. It's something he got that I want. And so, and there's so much going on. Social media had made the church look so bad.
And as you were saying right there, you were mentioning how, the people are a little more lost that go to church. And here, fix your.
Okay.
Make sure you're looking right. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Bring that out. And then there. All right, there you go. All right. In 3, 2. All right, and you mentioned that people that when it comes to church, they're a little more lost. Can you expound on that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Well, most people, men today, they have saw so many different, gang ran in the church, false prophets or men preaching one thing, living another thing, preaching a sermon and not living a sermon. So when a man follow a man, you have to have something that he can grab or feel that it can make him a better man. It's already man operating in their ego. And so when you look at a lot of guys that is following a different faith outside church, they have a new movement called the Hebrew Israelite, and a lot of men is gravitating to that faith or Islam is because it's more it's more a make a man feel like I'm a man now. I feel important. And most pastors, I'm just gonna keep it real. When you build your congregation around you, and they are looking up to you, like you the superstar. Everybody praising you. A lot of men, they'll turn away from that. But if I can serve you and I can teach you how to be a man, if I can teach you how to love your wife, if I can teach you how to deny your flesh, how to overcome lust. And so a lot of men challenge is within themselves. And then you got to look at it too. A lot of men's either, the Bible said there's going to be seven women to one man. And so you have a lot of men that's locked up, a lot of young black males getting killed, and so there's a lack of man also. But I believe that without no excuse, I think that we have taken our focus off of building the strong man. The Bible said that if the thief come in, he bound the strong man, which is the head of the house. And so a lot of men don't want to pray. A lot of men don't want to get in church, because they feel like, it makes me feel like I'm less of a man, or they don't have understanding of the gospel. It's because we have made the gospel be about us instead of about the people. And I believe that, it's going to be a lack of men in the church because our approaching is wrong.
Can I ask you, when it comes to the people in your congregation, the men that you've talked to, or the men that you haven't talked to, what reason or what excuses do you get for people not coming to church?
I'm glad you asked that, because most men that go to my church, right, we're not a big church. And, the men that I draw to my congregation or to the church that God allowed me to be over, is men that have been in my shoes, or that may have been in prison, or may have been in the streets, came from somewhere. And so I think that I draw a lot of men that's, we call, I don't want to say it right, not real man, a soft man, but I draw men from the hood, from the streets, because they are more caught up in where I came from, than me just preaching them a sermon and telling them, hey, how you got to live, you doing this. A lot of people know they doing wrong, but men can relate to what's real. You know what I'm saying? I don't falsify them. I don't try to be something that I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I tell them where I came from, even dealing with what I'm struggling with, And so, man, I think that if you want to draw a man, you got to have a foundation that makes sense to him. Because right now, social media make pastor look bad. Every time a pastor do something, or a so-called pastor, they want to publicize it and make it look like, hey, a bunch of pastors ain't nothing but a bunch of hustlers.
So let me ask you, when it comes to women finding or looking for love in the church, when you look at these mega churches, a lot of women are dressing in their Sunday's finest, and they're actually sometimes either newly divorced or single, hopefully finding a godly man. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that is more than a man going to church to find him a godly woman? Do you feel like that dichotomy, it kind of seesaws more towards the women looking for men?
Well, when I first got out of prison, I ain't gonna say the church name, but they said, this mega church where all the women's at, you want your woman, you go here with all the men. Some church you want to get connected with professional people, and people are drawn to church that benefit their flesh instead of coming from the word. Now, if I, in the mindset that I'm in, if you go get a woman from the club, you're going to get club attributes, residue. If you go and get a woman from the church, hopefully that she have God in you. Because a person go to church don't mean necessarily they know God or love God. The Bible says you're going to have a lot of people that worship him with their mouth, but their heart far from him. But I think that if I'm going to take a risk, I would have a woman that have some type of God conscious. We are going toward that way because I've seen a lot of shows, where they hit these balloons, and a lot of these women don't even want a God very bad. You know what I'm saying? He say he a Christian, and they'll say that I'm not religion or I'm spiritual, and they bust the balloon. And so we live in a time women don't even want God fearing man. They want a man with some money. Let's just keep it real. If he ain't got no bank, then they ain't trying to think. So.
Now that's real. And shout out Pop the Balloon. That's about to come on Netflix. So to kind of capitalize on that, it does look like women, they normally go to the doctor more often than men. Like women like to make sure their body's clean, save themselves before things get bad. And men, they don't go to the dentist as often. They don't go to the doctor as often. It seems like they don't want to save themselves. Do you feel like that kind of goes into church as well, that women are looking for saving themselves versus men? They kind of just be like, it is what it is. Their mentality towards saving their life or saving their soul isn't as strong as women.
I think that with men, we are stubborn. Not only are we stubborn, but we don't like to go out of our box. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of men lack of education, especially black men. We don't take certain things serious. Like even myself, I didn't know about diabetes until I got diabetes, dealing with diabetes. And now I see the seriousness of it. You have to watch what you eat. You have to take it serious. You got to take the medication. You got to do a lot of things. And so a lot of time we think that, hey, man, I can just, walk this out, or tomorrow it'll be different, But I think a lack of education when it comes down to especially black men and women, they take things serious. But we got to think about it. It can be selfish when you don't go to the doctor, because going to the doctor is not about you. It's about your family, because you need to be here to raise your family. You need to be here for your kids, your wife. And so when a man don't go to the hospital, I think that he needs somebody that can set him down and say, man, I understand you feel like if I die, I die. But that's selfish, because if you love somebody, you want to be here for them. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to see your kids walk across the stage. You want to be able to see your daughter get married. And so I think that a lot of men, we don't take it serious, and so that's why we don't like to go to the hospital. We don't like the hospital. That's just our man. Hey, I'm gonna die. But lack of knowledge. The Bible said the people perish because of lack of knowledge.
So when it comes to the church, do you feel like there are men outweigh women as far as not wanting to save their soul? A lot of men just know to get out here, go to work, and technically going to the church house, paying your tithes, or maybe it's because of the tithes that men don't go to church. I don't know.
When it comes down to tithes, you got to be educated. Tithes became like a disease to people. Now we in the mindset that tithes is like man's law, but God gave in His Word that He said, "How will a man rob God?" He said, "How?" He said, "Do tithes in your offering." He said, "Bring meat into my house." You got meat in your house. The reason why God asks us to tithe, because the church cannot function off of prayer. The church can't function because you speak in tongues, or you wear a cross. Everything costs. You have to have lights. You got to pay for the note of the church. You have to take care. You got to pay the people who work, especially mega churches. The light bill. It's just so much. Just like running a business, and we don't want to see the business side of ministry. It's because we're selfish. Now, you got to pay bills in your own house. You can't go to TXU and say, in the name of Jesus, I need you to cut my lights on. They might call the police on you. You can't go to the car lot and say, I'm a Christian. I need you to give me that car. It'll work like that. So But the mindset of tithing, first of all, you have to understand the Bible said God loves a cheerful giver. What do you mean? Tithing is show who you are. The Bible said where a man's heart is, his treasure will follow also. And so I used to be one of those guys. I used to say, man, give my money to the church where the pastor can and buy him a Cadillac, or take my money and get him a suit and big old gold rings. And I had that mindset. But when I realized how the enemy worked, he uses man, he uses all kind of things to get you not to be blessed. Tithing is to bless you. You feel like you're losing when you give your 10%, or you feel like somebody taking something from you, but it's all God's money. And so if he just asked for 10%, why? That his church may continue to function, where people can have a place to come in and worship. How the church can be able to function. The Bible said money answer all things, but I don't understand when it comes down to the church. Tithing is a problem. And then you got a lot of these churches that's mega, who for many years, it's a pastor, I think Cliff O'Donnell, he was talking about tithing was wrong or something. And by him making that statement, a whole lot of people couldn't wait to hear that. Now they decide, I don't want to give tithes. I want to rob. I'm going to keep all God's money. Or they say I tithe in the streets, but it's just a way of you disobeying God, and God can't give you the blessing that he want to give you, the favor. God reigns on the just and unjust, but the favor of God, it's beyond money. It's beyond, money can't buy the favor of God. Money can't keep you from dying. Money can't heal you. Money can't keep you from certain things that could have came against your house, but God can't.
Do you feel the government should basically, like you mentioned, the lights, the building, the cars, should pastors, should churches even have to pay for that? Should it be like not only tax exempt, but technically if this building's being purchased, if it's a pastor, maybe a pastor has to go through an ordained.
Man.
Should the government step in and say, no, if you're a church, things are free?
Well, no, they ain't gonna do that. Oh no, everybody ain't Christian. You got different religions. Man, the government, then if the government does that, he's gonna want to control it. Then he's gonna tell you, you're gonna have to marry same-sex marriage. You have to do this, you gotta do it. You can't preach about this. And so that's why the government and church and the government is two separate things. I thank God for that, because then you're controlled by the government, and you don't want that, even though you might need their help. There's a lot of churches struggling, but let's be real about it, Joker. A lot of mega churches can help other churches, but churches done got to the point to where they don't care how big, they want their church to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. Even Moses, when he brought the children out of Egypt, his father-in-law had to come to him, and he had to put other men over certain people. He had to divide the people to certain Levites or priests. Moses couldn't do it all by himself. But now we got people, man, they don't care if they got 80,000 members. Instead of them make it where it's possible for the shepherd to reach certain people. One man can only do so much, but we are so for the greed. We're so for the, it's about us. We done made ministry bad, man. It's crazy, man. And I'm not against mega churches. I just think that a certain capacity, you need to put other people in place, because you could die, or you should open up other location to help the church to be able to know their pastor, reach their pastor, and not look like we just trying to outdo one another, or make the church look like it's about me.
I like that.
Of the people.
Shout out Reallyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move. Hey.